Welcome to Deep Thought. Are Homo Sapiens alone? And when I say Homo Sapiens alone, I don't mean whether we're alone in the universe. You know, all these planets out there, it's kind of arrogant to think we're the only one with life on it. And it's also kind of arrogant to think somebody actually invented, like, all the stuff we have now. I'm just saying, y'all know some aliens did it. Yeah, come on now. I know. Some aliens. Though I don't think aliens built the pyramids, but you know what that's about. They don't want to say our brothers did it. So anyway, right? Homo sapiens alone. I don't know. See, I'm going to tell you what. My mentor says something. He always say, 98% of the people on the planet are descended from one womb. Right? The mitochondrial Eve, right? And that's cool, but then I'm like, what's the other 2%? That's a lot of people out of a billion. That's a lot of two, I mean, it could be, the man, the Illuminati, Mariah conquering one, something like that. But that's speculation. But when I say Homo sapiens alone, are we the only species that developed? Because remember, if you look at the history of this planet, several human species developed, right? Several. I mean, even now, you have many Europeans and Asians who have DNA from Neanderthals. We know they were there, like them and Homo sapiens actually coexisted. And you know what's funny? I remember coming up, it was Neanderthal, then Cro-magnon, and then Homo sapiens. Nobody's talking about Cro-magnon anymore. That's deep when you think about it. I need to look that up. How come nobody talk about the Cro-magnon anymore? All right, everybody talking about Neanderthals. Oh, as an aside, I gotta say this. I gotta say this. You remember when Neanderthals used to be considered just dumb cavemen? Y'all remember that? Some of the older folks, y'all remember when you say Neanderthal, that just meant a dumbass caveman, right? But then, some scientists at a reputable university discovered that, Europeans and some Asians have, like, a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA. None in Africans, though. None in Africoids, right? Then all of a sudden, once that discovery was made, it was announced all of a sudden, the Neanderthals got way smarter all of a sudden. I actually saw something say, well, they had civilizations and all of that. I'm not going to comment any further on that, but I just want y'all to think about it. It's funny how stuff changes up. Just saying, right? But when I say that, though, okay, we've obviously in relatively recent memory, well, the recent history of the Earth, because remember, this planet is billions of years old. There's been at least two species that coexisted together. And I really need to look up that Cro-magnon thing. Hold up. I can't take this. Hold up. All right, I had to look it up real quick, right? Apparently the Cro-magnon and Homo sapiens supposed to be the same. I don't know. Yeah. That's going to change as soon as they find out nobody has Cro-magnon DNA except white people. Then all of a sudden that's going to change too. Oh, they were a separate species. Anyway, right? But hey, you think about that. I'm like, okay, you had all these human species. What if, and I seriously think about this. It was like, what if they all didn't disappear? Right? I remember Octavia Butler. She did something. It was about her version of vampires. Right? And y'all got to check out Octavia Butler, sister, very visionary writer. So, she had a separate vampire species that, lived next to humans and everything, and, they just chilled out. And, of course, you got that whole you got that. That's a part of stories anyway, vampires, werewolves, or something. That's a staple of supernatural type of fiction, right? And then I remember a TV show back in the 90s. It was called Prey, and it was about another species of human who had evolved. They were called Homo dominant, because apparently they were like very beautiful serial killers. Like the women, they had 4 uteruses, so they could reproduce like quickly, right? And I was just like, wow, that's deep. So I started thinking, wow, how do we know? How do we know, right? We don't have something else evolving, right? Or somebody else, maybe they're insulated, or maybe they still around in low numbers and figured out how to keep out of like the majority population's way. Or perhaps they are the Illuminati. You know, there's some logic behind that, right? You know, what if they just say, you know what, we're going to take over our cousins here, all right? We're going to take over our cousins. You know, because they got all that Neanderthal blood, and well, except for the black people. And so we got to do something about it, right? But are we alone? Do we have other things like right in front of us or something? Because, like, you know, I just looked up something about the Cro-magnon and Homo Sapiens, and they were like, nah, they were indistinguishable. They basically the same thing, you know? So, I mean, you're just like, because what we know. And then when you talk about evolution, is it happening again? Because I saw something, they said what's going to happen as we evolve into the future, right? You'll have two species of human beings. One a very tall, very attractive species. Another one some short, ugly, gargoyle-looking things, right? And that's kind of deep, because if anybody ever saw the movie or rarely read the book, The Time Machine, right? That was one of the premises, like, you know, this guy, I can't remember his name. You know, he has this time machine from around 1900, but he goes about 800,000 years into the future. And you have like two species of humans. You have the more humanoid looking, like, I forgot the name of the group, but they lived on the surface. They were real peaceful, didn't, you know, they didn't have any fight in them or anything. And they would be hunted, and they'd be hunted by this underground group called the Morlocks. Right? They would, and you know, they basically evolved over several millennia. And I was just like, that's deep. That's deep. Yeah, y'all know for my deep thought channel, I just be thinking about some things. But what if we have that now? What if we have a Homo dominant species now? What if, you know, I just did a video on the beauty. What if all these beautiful people are really like just another species? You know, that explains a lot with some folks, though. That would explain a whole lot. And we won't get into the metaphysics of it, because then, trust me, there is something there. But, you know, what if there's a different species? You know, what if you got some people, they just, you know, look like us, you know, probably infiltrate society, but they keep to themselves. Right? And who's to say something couldn't evolve? Like, there's a term called ethnogenesis, and that's it can be passive or it can be active. Ethnogenesis is just a process by which a group is determined to be separate from other groups. Like, I give an example of the ADOS hashtag, American Descendants of Slaves. If they really want to get into it, they should start looking for genetic markers. You know, genetic markers, DNA, all of that, to try to differentiate. Because, and you actually have that with different groups. Like in the African-American community, there are actually 13 tribes, roughly 11 to 13 tribes of African-Americans based on DNA, right? So, you know, if you got something like that, who's to say some group, you know, other than Homo Sapiens or Neanderthal evolved? And just were able to, like, for whatever reason, you know, mix in with the rest of the population. You know, so are we alone? Like I say, well, we already know about the aliens and stuff, and you know, the guys that come from outer space. But I'm talking about somebody whose origin is here. Or here's one for you: what if the guys from outer space actually evolved on Earth millions of years ago and just decided to leave, and they just coming home? Something to think about. So anyway, that's all I got. You know how I do. You know how I do. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.